Um, if you look at the modern generation, which is about 20 years younger than me, uh, they're afraid to talk to women because you've now got all these, I'll call them uber feminists, who are going, well, if you touch me, that's sexual assault. Well, if you touch me, that's sexual assault. Well, if you touch me, that's sexual assault. Well, if you touch me, that's sexual assault because I didn't let you touch me. I didn't let you touch me. Guys are just now, we've lost it. We have lost it.
So here's the problem, right? Queer Marxist theory has been infiltrated into schools and into the generation to try and destroy the notion of gender. So let me quickly read out what I asked Google Bard the current
I
definition of a
fucking
man.
hate you so much.
Love me loads. The current definition of a man is complex and evolving. In general, a man is an adult human male. However, this definition is not
Hurry up and land it,
accepted.
Wilson. Hurry up and land it. I hate that thing.
So, basically, what we think is the classical definitions of maleness isn't that. And this is a problem because our old school classical definitions clash with the queer theory, queer Marxism, and that is why we're having so much problems with what a man actually should be, and the role that the man performs is being trampled on.
Wilson,
So that's what I'm going to say.
Wilson, does it explain how it's clashing? Where's it clashing?
It's clashing because you take things like toxic masculinity. You go, what does it mean to be a man? But then you take out all the core elements and say it's toxic. So to be chivalrous is toxic. To have courage is toxic. To be independent is toxic. To have leadership is toxic. To own and have responsibility is toxic. To have integrity is toxic.
The men who step up to the responsibility of being a dad and providing for their family, I have nothing but absolute respect for those men. Because unfortunately, not all of them do. But I think it's a really interesting question to bring up because for the last few years, it's always been revolving, around the ultimate question: what is a woman? And personally, and I don't know if this is a bit of a controversial thing to say, I think it's going to be the men that actually put an end to this trans movement. We've all grew up to know that it's a man's world. That's just how it is. Yeah, for me, a man, like a real man, is one that kind of lives by his morals, principles, and all that. So I just wanted to say that.
Actually, I was going to say something, but I thought I'd just let you go. We actually have been really good we haven't actually really even talked about trans at all, throughout this whole space just about. So it's actually been really good. But I didn't mind the way you referenced it because, the space is recorded and I don't want to get mass reported.
Yeah, I don't want to kind of take over
your
show, your space that way. But I definitely think that men are going to make a huge impact.
I think just going by, what Steph said, right? And I sort of missed this before and I do apologise then. She made the point. It's and a lot of you guys have said it, you guys stipulate the point that men are there to provide for your families and, you step up to the plate. I think what I see today is what's lacking is that and it happens more so when, you got separations of families and all that, where men don't step up to the plate. And I think Belfast sort of said it before and so is Mads, they've stepped up to the plate in their families to be the head of that family and run the household where there is, the father figure has sort of dropped off. And I think what my issue is, and my brother's, separated, he's got 2 little girls, is that you need to really step up and come to the table as, I think Belfast said it before, is dual parenting, I think it was the word, correct me or co-parenting, where you can still do that role and be that that critical father figure, like in your kids' lives to, set that example if, that's the example you want to set, even in a separated family. I get that some people, like whether it's male, female, that they don't let their partner before don't see their kids, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still be supporting your kids as well, because at the end of the day, your kids are always going to need you as hard as it is.
I think touching on that too, I think there's this notion in some parents, and I say parents not to be sexist, but I think it's a notion that if the financial equation of parenting stops when the parents separate, it doesn't stop just because the marriage stops. It still continues. So I think that is misconstrued, and I don't blame men, because they have gotten the short end of the stick, and it's on a very rare occasion where you find the roles return. But I also want to implement something else into this conversation that people haven't touched base on. Is a man less of a man when his partner is making more money than him, and the decision is made that he stay home and she become the breadwinner?
Alrighty. So to answer Mad's question, yes, 100%. As a man, if you aren't providing for your family so your wife can stay at home and raise the children, yes, you are failing your family. Now back to Lee. Everything he described as toxic masculinity is toxic. Is it masculinity? Fuck no, it's not. Any man that thinks he can lay his hands on a woman isn't a fucking masculine man. He's a fucking coward. Deserves the millstone treatment. Again, this goes back to Aristotle's four great virtues. Temperance, aggressiveness in males. Is it a virtue? Fucking oath it is, especially when it's combined with temperance, prudence, and courage. Right? Men, our boys, should be taught to embrace and understand their inner monster and then learn how to tame it. Again, it comes back to this whole feminization of our men and our boys. I think it does men an injustice to go labeling what should be considered virtues in men as toxic masculinity.
Thanks, Hayes. Belfast, please take the lead.
Yeah, and in some ways, I would agree with you, Hayes. But when we look at the Aristotle's four cardinal virtues, what are they? They are prudence, which is cautiousness. They are justice, which is trying to balance an idea of the world. Temperance, which is can also be, can be abstinence from alcohol, but also being able to be temperate with others, and courage. So I don't think they're male values. I think they're both. I think Aristotle was talking about humanity rather than just man. I do not think that it was just for men. I think it was for humanity itself. It was written by a man for men because men were the only citizens in Aristotle's time. There was very few women weren't allowed to be citizens. That kind of way, that philosophy, I learned a long time ago to attribute that to humanity as opposed to just men. But I do think we've got into this sort of dichotomy here of gender.
Back from the whole question word from there, I think for most of us it comes down to how we are in our life, and certainly what is a man will come to the role models that we have had early in our lives. So that will come down to predominantly our fathers or maybe our grandfathers or people within the uncles or people within that immediate family. For most of us, that's the direction that we're going to get. And whether that's positive or negative, then that's going to greatly impact the view that we have on, excuse me, on the world and how we see things from there. So it's not just that what is a man, it's not just what you're going to teach the next generation, it's what you are to those people around you as well.